Common Dreams has an opinion of Tim Kaine, as does the Intercept. Apparently, just this week, he sent a clear message to the big banks. He's in their corner. Well, there's a surprise. Hillary picked somebody who's in favor of the big banks, right? He signed onto 2 letters on Monday pushing for more financial deregulation. And apparently the letters showed the Clinton camp, quote, how Kaine could be an asset with banking interests on the fundraising trail, end quote. well, not just on the fundraising trail. Come on, goddamn. We were born at night, but not last night. On the fundraising trail, my ass. It's after they would be elected, which they're not going to be. But if they were to be elected, that's when the blowjob to the banking interests will really pay off once they're in the executive branch of the government. But Clinton and Kaine should be able to take a look and realize they're not going to make it. They're not going to be the president, vice president. That's not going to happen. But anyway, politics is fantasy. It's like fantasy football or some such shit. It just keeps rocking and rolling. But anyway, according to David Dayen of The Intercept yesterday, he said that the news that he is willing to sign on, I think there were 6 Democrats and every single Republican who decided that they were going to try to get deregulation passed. And as David Dayen at The Intercept said on Wednesday, that should disqualify him from the ticket. There were 2 letters that Kaine signed onto. The first one was signed by, 16 Democrats and every Republican senator. And it calls on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which, was set up after the banking industry ripped everybody a new asshole back in 2000. Well, it all came apart in 2008, but they had to work up to it. But anyway, he signed onto this letter that asked the CFPB to exempt community banks, whatever the hell they are, and credit unions, don't, from certain regulations. Now, I haven't dealt with a bank in 35 years. And neither is Kathy, credit union. Now, our little business account, and I really don't give a shit because there's never any money in it anyway, that is at a bank, but that's only because our partner in New York uses one of these whorish, filthy banks, so we have to use it too for a bunch of reasons. But anyway, the guy at The Intercept explained it this way. This request, this letter to deregulate community banks and credit unions from certain regulations. The Intercept said, while this seems benign, tailoring rules that exempt large classes of financial institutions leaves consumers vulnerable to deceptive practices. A rule of this type could allow community banks and credit unions to sell high-risk mortgages or personal loans without disclosing to the person who had the mortgage or the loan, the risky loan, and to sell high-risk mortgages or personal loans without the disclosure and ability to pay rules in place across the industry. So if this were to become a matter of law that Tim Kaine has signed on to, and I have less than real good credit. As a matter of fact, if I had really shitty credit and I wanted to buy a house and I found a mortgage a deal with a community bank or a credit union, and they could jazz up the papers. I would sign, and 6 months later, I have to go into foreclosure. But in the meantime, because I couldn't afford to pay it, that's what happened. That's what hit the shit that hit the fan in 2007, 2008 was all of that. And it had been going on for what, 7, 8 years. It got started by the Clintons when they murdered the Glass-Steagall Act, which then allowed banks to gamble. They became casinos. And, well, you know, they were gambling with your money and my money. They don't give a shit. You know, this is capitalism. Quit bitching, Malloy. That's where you live. Right. But the credit unions and the little banks, who you know, the community banks, the little family-owned banks, there are still some. They didn't participate in the scam. The credit unions, as you know, is kind of like the banks in It's a Wonderful Life. You know, savings and loans. That's pretty much credit union takes in your money and pays you. Well, the interest has gone into the shithole now, but they would take in your money, pay you maybe 4% on your money, loan it out at 7%. That was then. You know, you can get a mortgage now for what? 3.1%? Madness. Anyway, so Tim Kaine, along with 15 other Democrats, signed up with every single Republican in the Senate to ask the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to exempt the community banks and the credit unions from all this nonsense so that they can participate in this shit fest of just ripping people off. Not community, not the credit unions. Were you aware of this, Kathy? You weren't aware of it, about Tim Kaine. Neither was I. I was mentioning that you and I you've dealt with credit unions for all your adult life. So have I. Well, I mean, for the past 35 years I have. That is about all your adult life, but to me it's just a passing moment. So that's what Tim Kaine did Monday. And then today, Friday, he was named as Hillary Clinton's pick. Now, Kaine is looked at very favorably by the big dog. The big dog loves him. The big dog loves him because the big dog, remember, he's the one who signed off to eliminate Glass-Steagall. You know, it always cracked me up that these filthy, stinking Republicans went after Clinton because he got a blowjob and lied about it. Okay, he got several. But that's what they went after him for. Instead of, they just hated his ass because he just played them. Now, in playing the Republicans, he really fucked over the American public, especially the Democrats, who thought, well, what's this new Democrat? I'll take a chance. I'll vote for him.